Let's look at the South Carolina Republican primary results where Donald Trump has won again. Now let's compare how the Republicans did compared to the polling that they had going into the primary. Okay, we have the poll results here, which show us on the Republican side, Donald Trump won with 32.5%. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz very close to tied, 22.5% for Rubio, 22.3% for Cruz, followed by Bush and Kasich and Carson, all with 7 point something percent of the vote. Let's compare this to the polling averages going in. Donald Trump overperformed the polls by a little under 1 percentage point. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz both overperformed the polls by nearly 4 percentage points. Jeb Bush was 3 points below where he was predicted to be based on the polls. Kasich and Carson pretty close to where the polls had them. So the big news after the South Carolina win by Donald Trump was that Jeb Bush is out. Jeb Bush saying, that's it, I'm suspending my campaign. There were gasps, audible gasps when he announced this. And the real question for me is, where does Jeb Bush's support go now? And I think this really is the most important conversation, Lewis. People are seeing Donald Trump with 32% in various primaries, and they're assuming, oh, this means Trump gets the nomination. He won New Hampshire with 30-something percent. He won South Carolina with 30-something percent, 32% in this case. Let's look at the math, though. Republicans send 2,472 delegates to their national convention. To win, a candidate needs roughly 1,236 delegates, 1,236 plus one to have over 50%. If Trump wins roughly 35% of the delegates in every single state, taking into consideration that some states have proportional allocation, some states are winner take all, let's say he goes straight through to the convention, Lewis, with 35% of all the delegates that are available. That's 865 delegates. That leaves him nearly 400 delegates short of securing the Republican nomination. If we get to a brokered Republican National Convention, do you think the Republicans will say, hey, listen, Trump has a plurality of the vote right now, 35%. Let's all coalesce around Trump and hand him the nomination? Of course not. If they get to the convention with Trump having 35% of the delegates and 60, excuse me, I'm getting so worked up about this, 65% of the delegates being not for Trump, the Republican Party is going to get together and they're going to say, okay, who do we want to give this 65% of the delegates to and therefore this nomination? I don't think it's going to be Trump.
Which, unfortunately, should not be the case, because if this were a true democratic republic, then they would put their support behind the person who has the most delegates in the clear lead, right?
If you merely say you need a majority, not a plurality, that's a totally legitimate way of doing democracy, which is we continue doing runoffs until someone has 51%. You could say, okay, here's the top 3 candidates going into the convention. Let's now vote just for those 3. And most polls show that if you do one-on-one matchups, even as I have seen, Trump versus Kasich in a one-on-one matchup, Kasich wins because the not Trump electorate is splitting their support among Cruz and Rubio and formerly Jeb Bush, who now is out, and John Kasich, etc. I believe that if Trump keeps getting 35%, he will get to the convention and the Republican establishment will give this to someone else. And hopefully this will rattle Trump enough that he decides to run as an independent and absolutely destroys the Republican possibility of winning this thing.
Exactly. That is the ideal situation. And just to see all that drama unfold would be a wonderful thing.
And just to support what I'm saying here, Donald Trump hasn't gained in the national polls since his high of about 37% in late December. In fact, he's gone down as people have dropped out. The support that Fiorina's voter, or rather, when Carly Fiorina dropped out, when Chris Christie dropped out, and now I predict that Jeb Bush is out, that support hasn't bolstered Trump's support. It's gone to Cruz, it's gone to Rubio, and it's gone to Kasich. There is no evidence currently that as the field thins, any of that support goes to Trump. In fact, Trump is down nationally from where he was about 2 months ago. So this is a key. The key thing now is other people need to stay in this thing. Republicans need to stay in as long as possible so that they can get the non-Trump vote to about 65% by the time of the convention. That's what needs to happen. That's what I hope happens.
Well, easy to say for us. We're not out there actually campaigning. Pretty tiring, pretty grueling. And when you're in a position like Carson and Kasich and
Yeah.
That's a tough decision to keep.
At some
going.
point, you got to think about packing it up. But if they understand the importance, if they can accrue some delegates in the proportional allocation states, hopefully that will be enough incentive for them to stay in, or to say, my delegates, please support this other guy who also isn't Trump. Okay, we'll keep talking about that. The online news world is getting pretty cluttered with lots of nonsense. There's the so-called news sites that rewrite news articles, and then there's the websites we all know that we just can't trust. So lately, I've been reading Smashpipe, which is an online magazine whose goal is to surprise, amuse, and tell readers things they don't already know on a wide range of topics in current events and culture. Smashpipe is less interested in trending topics than in what's actually going on, and Smashpipe has no ads whatsoever other than the reader-generated classified ad section, and they never will. Smashpipe is what happens when you, on a bad day, stub your toe on the miseries and mysteries of life. Check it out at